Hi, I'm Nick.
I'm Jean-Luc.
And we're the WWE Gays.
And
today's our new series, What's the Tip?
What's the tip?
So we're going to take you guys on a quick walk, and then we're going to sit down with my mom and talk to you guys about finding your why.
So why is it important to have a why?
Exactly.
How do you find your whys? Where do you get your why from?
So let's start talking about
it. It's not just the letter in the alphabet anymore.
No, X, Y, Z. So we'll talk about it in a second.
Talk to you in a few minutes. So we came across this tree during the walk, and it's funny because I noticed that it had fallen. The roots are completely out of the ground. But if you can see, the roots have fallen out of the ground or have been taken out of the ground, but the tree is still surviving and growing. It's almost like you are us on our journeys. We sometimes fall, because it does happen, but it's growth. It's all about growing. Never forget that.
So we came back from our walk, and first of all, it was a great walk, 4 kilometers in like climbing.
It was something we'd never done before. It was something we never would have fathomed we were able to do before.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because while we were on that walk, it really started making us think about why we are able to do things now. And it's so funny because we know that WW is all about the why.
So this What's the Tip is about finding your why. It's about helping you discover ways to dig into your own thoughts and figure out why you're doing this. And I know a lot of people think, oh, that's so cheesy, my why is this, and it's so funny, guys, but having that why sometimes keeps you going. It keeps you wanting to keep doing this.
And and we'll be honest as well, sometimes we lose focus on our why, and we tend to think we have a why, but the why that we currently are trying to achieve, or that why that is trying to drive us, is no longer the driving force.
Yeah.
So re-examining your why is a huge part of this journey as well.
So we do actually kind of an exercise today. So we thought we'd actually run this with you guys. Just, hopefully you guys can get a piece of paper and a pen. Just you guys, go run and get that right now. And we're going to kind of walk you through a quick exercise that you guys can do to try to dig it through your why. Try to deepen it, because a lot of us only have one. We started out our original why, we've explained this before, was to look good on our wedding pictures. We're getting married, and we saw that our engagement pictures back in 2011 had a lot of chins, and so we joined WWE the first time because we wanted to have less chins.
We wanted to look different,
yeah.
Exactly. And we're not saying that wasn't a good enough why, but at that time in our life, it wasn't a good enough why. It wasn't something that kept us going. It didn't apply our forever method, which we'll talk about at another time.
Yeah.
But that why was very temporary, and it was almost like certain whys are parts of your journey, but then you have to look at the over-encompassing why of why you want to do this.
Exactly. So since then, it's transformed. Now the reason we are doing this journey is to live the longest life together. We sat down in 2017 and we laid out what we want to see for our future. We saw my mom's family, we saw my grandmother, the way she ended up, all the health issues that she had, and then on my side of the family, on my dad's side of the family, all the health issues they also have. And so I knew where I was going, and if I wanted to end up there, I was already heading that way. So one of my whys was my health. I didn't want to become that statistic, the same thing that plagued the rest of my family members. My mom's the same way. My mom is, right now, my mom, you're 61?
61.
And my mom also has to constantly think about her why every day, because even for her, my dad's not around anymore, so she has to motivate herself to do these things. So she has to have a why. And I know one of your whys is also grandma, right?
Not to be like my mom, because at the end she was not moving much and stuff like that, and I don't want that. I want to be active when I'm older.
Yeah.
I'm looking in 20 years from now, I want to be able to go for a walk and do it on trail like that. Maybe not the scale of the trail we did yesterday, but still being able to go there and do it.
She climbed those mountains yesterday.
Yeah, and it was fun because honestly, compared to walking outside on the streets, I was not sore because we were on the ground, we were on the rocks, and it's way different than being on the asphalt.
Well, it's not impact. The impact's not the exact same either.
It's so better. It's way better because I didn't have my backache, I didn't have my hip ache. I was fine last night. Really.
Well, there was no
compared-
impact. What
Yeah.
happens is we were climbing and we were on dirt and soil instead of cement.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to my why, it's a little different for me because my family has lived very long lives.
Still lives really long
and
lives.
I have a lot of uncles. My family is a lot more cancer in my family, so a lot more long-term illnesses that, weight does affect, you know what I mean? When you are overweight, cancer and all these other sicknesses do have an impact on that. Everything is impacted by how much you weigh, unfortunately.
And your
And
lifestyle.
and the lifestyle that
Yeah.
you live. And I look at my parents and I give myself, I'm very lucky to see that both of my parents for a very long time were able to do stuff and were active. But in my mind, I want to be even more active than they were. Because I felt like their activities were great, but eventually, as soon as they stopped doing those activities, then I started seeing them get older.
Yes.
And that was the difference. And I don't want to see that. And I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I want to be able to be mobile and moving for as long as I possibly can.
You can live long. Like you can get. My mom was 92 when she died. My grandma was almost 102. But the thing is, like
The
the
quality
quality
of
of life was not
Exactly.
there, and that's the way. Like if you're sitting there and just waiting for it to die, it's not living.
And I'm going to say something. You know what? I've said it in one of our live shows. I want to be Marilyn when I grow up. We
Yes,
have Marilyn,
Marilyn
who is
from the West
84
Coast.
years old from the West Coast, and I love her go-to-itiveness
Yeah,
and
her
her why
attitude
and her
and-
attitude, and she's never stopping to learn, and
Yeah.
she's wanting to keep going for as long as she possibly can. And that's a new why of mine.
Yeah.
I want this to be my forever. I want to do this for the rest of my life because I want to feel good for as long as I possibly can.
And so your why can be variable reasons. It could be health. It can be you want to be around for your family. It could be that you want to do something in the future. There's some activities that you haven't done yet. There's trips you want to do. There's places you want to be, things you want to see.
So what we're trying to say is find your why, but don't make sure that you realize that your overall why can be something, but you can have multiple small whys that impact that overall why.
So take that piece of paper and that pen that we told you to get earlier, okay? And write down right now your why. The one why that you know is your predominant why for this journey.
and try to find other associated whys with that why.
So ask why to that why.
And then ask another why to that why.
And keep writing down every single answer you give. So say your first why is, I want to be the healthiest I can be. Or actually, the one I always use is, I want to fit in my black dress for my daughter's wedding. If that's your why, it's an amazing why. Write it down. Then ask why to that why. Why do you want to look good in your black dress at your daughter's wedding? Well, because I want to be there. I want to be healthy. I want to be happy.
And it might be
And-
different for everybody in the sense that you might start off with the black dress because that was your original why. That's the first thing that came into your head. By digging into it, you might actually find there's even more to your why that you don't even realize.
And my mom touched it earlier. Think of these questions. Where do you want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20, 25 years? Look at your family history. Where does your family history tend to end up? Look at your parents, your mom and dad. Where does their family history tend to go? Do you want to follow in their footsteps? Are your parents healthy? Do you want to be the same as your parents? Or are your parents unhealthy? Do you want to change so that you don't follow in their footsteps?
And always remember that no matter how hard you try and no matter what you do, your why is because you're worth it.
And it's
That's
important
why.
to you. You can't let anybody else tell you why is not important. You have to find what works for you. We say this all the time for
Never
anything.
compare your why to somebody else's why.
Yeah.
Because everybody's why is different. It is a letter in the alphabet, like we said earlier in the
yeah.
video. It is a letter in the alphabet, but it's not just a letter. Mom said it's 3 letters.
3 letters.
W-H-Y,
Yeah.
right? But always remember, why is because you're worth it.
Exactly. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this first video from What's the Tip.
What's
I'm
the
glad we got
tip?
to do it with my mom. And the next video we're going to do another, so this series is going to be an ongoing series, just like our WW Hacks. We're going to be doing different topics based on what we see needs to be refreshed. We often have people asking us questions about specific non-hack topics that we don't know the answers. We thought doing this series would be the best way to give you guys those insights.
So stay tuned for more tea with Jean-Luc and Nick. What's the tip
tea?
with Jean-Luc and Nick?
So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please hit the like below and hit the subscribe to join to be able to notified when our channel has new videos coming up.
And don't forget to follow us on all social media using #WWGays.
And visit our website, www.gays.com.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.